Since COVID, I don't think it's ever been clearer that wildlife crime is not just about biodiversity, but also economic security and human health. And if COVID can now generate that interest, we should act to prevent the next pandemic by cracking down on wildlife crime. Given the prevalence of wildlife markets and high-risk bushmeat trade, Southeast Asia and West and Central Africa are priority areas. We need better laws, increased penalties in some cases, better enforcement, and then awareness campaigns, as we've mentioned, to maintain the awareness and knowledge about risky bushmeat consumption.
According to the World Economic Forum, over half of the world's GDP is highly or moderately dependent on nature. The livelihood of millions of people around the world rely on wildlife as a source of income and food security. Unfortunately, the World Economic Forum also notes that illegal wildlife trade is one of the most lucrative illegal businesses in the world, generating between 7 to 23 billion US dollars per year. Governments and the United Nations will need to work effectively and engage with civil society and private sector in efforts to identify alternative livelihood options. But this must be done in consultation with, rather than imposed upon communities.
What we've started to do is to talk to people who are engaged in hunting and eating wildlife, really to find out who's doing it, why they're doing it. Most of it is illegal, but most of it has such deep cultural roots that it's very difficult. For instance, people believe bats and pangolins and these other animals give you some longer life or health, and it's very tough to break that belief. So what we've started doing is working with communities that are involved in the wildlife trade in China and Southeast Asia to talk to them about the health risks. And we find that health is an incredible motivator. People are often doing this because they think it makes them more healthy, whereas actually it causes them to get sick and it causes pandemics like COVID. Governments act more quickly when they find that health is a driver.
How widespread do you think the change of attitudes will be towards wildlife consumption and the use of illegal wildlife products across rural and urban communities in Southeast Asia?
In Vietnam, we've seen a massive change. The price of rhino horn has gone down by more than 2/3. And some of these campaigns that have been featured elephants and rhinos, I think the public gets the connection. The overconsumption is a problem. However, there's other places like Laos and Myanmar where there haven't been those types of campaigns. So I don't think there's been anything like that awareness. But I think that's where ASEAN could actually step in to try and bring up the standards and get that information out there. And once again, if we can get the media, the national media involved, these campaigns do not have to cost prohibitive amounts of money. So in Vietnam, Vietnamese television has done extensive coverage, the radio stations, the bodies are there, and I think they all see the public service value to this. So there does need to be a Southeast Asian campaign, there needs to be a West and Central African campaign about this, and to get the word out. And of course, it's not always easy. One of the things we have to try and avoid is that people go out and kill wildlife thinking they can get disease from wildlife when it's in the wild, which of course it's not a risk in the wild. And so that campaigning has to have that message in as well as not consuming.